choke, no joke. Chicky choke, no joke. Choke, no joke. Chicky choke, no joke. You know what it is. Keep on hating. You know what it is. Choke, no joke. I'm in the building. You already know. Happy Friday to y'all. May 8th, 2026. We in the mix. By now, Brother Prize is in the system from the Fugees, starting his 14-year sentence. We'll see him pop back out in 2040. Shout out to the New York Knicks. We up 2-0. You already know. This is it. This may be our year, man. This may be our year, man. But as a New York fan, you know not to get your hopes up high. You know, you just pray and you keep your fingers crossed and your toes crossed. Your goddamn butt cheeks crossed, paws. Like you keep everything. You pray and pray and pray. Cause we've seen these days plenty of times now. Yes, we have. Shout out to Patrick Ewing and John Starks. But the way things are going right now, they counting us out on getting to the finals. But we're gonna get to the finals. Why? Everybody get their time to shine. All right? It's what you do with your time when you get your time to shine. You dig? Shout out everybody in the building. My fellow Americans. The Jenny in the building. True Magic TV. You know what it is. GT8. CC Crippin. You already know. West Side, what up? Shout out to all my moderators in the building holding it down. You already know. We got Shakira Latif in the building. Darius is in the building. Ramona. What's up, Ramona? My baby girl. Tyra Banks is here. Looking for models. Terra Rodman. Terra Rodman. Wham Redman. Wham you do? Hey? Mitchie. Wham. You now get the notification, girl. You too get on the job. Please send out the notification. My brethren now get a notification, girl. All right? Shout out to Detroit. What up, though? They up 2-0, though. Like New York, though. Detroit, y'all might have to see us. You know what I mean? We might have to take it back in the days, Isaiah Thomas. You know what I'm saying? Against the New York Knicks. You know what I mean? The dirty ass Detroit Pistons. Y'all used to be some grimy ass street ball playing in the NBA ass niggas. Yes, y'all was. Detroit Pistons. They was the bad boys. That's where Dennis Rodman got recruited from for the Bulls. From them crazy dudes. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. But tonight, we getting right back in it. We're gonna finish going through this paperwork on 50 Cent's trial or civil case. I ain't gonna say trial. Civil case. And I still, even after I slept on it yesterday, I still haven't quite figured out. Oh, that just reminded me. I still haven't quite figured out why would 50's lawyer bring up Israel Ramirez murder to uh Monique Mayers when, for one, she definitely wasn't at G Unit at that time. Doesn't mean that she didn't know them or anything, because that's a whole other conversation. Um, but for what was going on in the deposition, oh yeah. Um, what was going on in the deposition? I don't like for him to bring that up. It is just the weirdest thing to me. I don't see the relevance of it. But um, like I said, given the backstory of Israel Ramirez, right? It is Israel, right? Yeah. AKA Izzy. All right. Rest in peace. But like I was saying, I don't see the relevance in it, but like I said, the backstory to Israel Ramirez is there was a beef going on, right? Um, and I've been looking back into it, trying to figure out what's the relevance. And there was a beef going on between somebody in G Unit and Swiss Beats. And as I remember the story, um, because I think I was at BET at this time. I was producing Rap City when it's happening. Um, some people showed up to the video set. Um, they had a problem with Swizz Beats. Uh, they was trying to get at Swiss. Swiss ran behind uh Busta or Israel, one or the other, and then I think Busta ran behind Israel, or after Swiss ran behind him. Whatever, niggas was using each other as human shields. And the dudes that popped up and let off, they was letting off trying to get at Swiss, and Swiss hiding behind niggas. That's how Israel got caught and he passed away, but he was Busta's bodyguard. He was there for Busta. He wasn't there for Swiss. But Swiss is the one who allegedly had the problem with the shooters, allegedly, right? So if you go back to the Touch It remix video, you'll see everybody that was there. Mary J. Blige was in the video. Um, Missy Elliott was in that video, is on that song. Lloyd Banks. That's why the G Unit dudes was there, because Banks was at the video shooting his scene. Um, who else is on that song? Papoose is on that song, and So it's Busta, Papoose, Missy Elliott, Spliff Star, Rod Digger. Rod Digger's on there, Mary J. Blige, and Missy Elliott. Those are all the people that's on that song. So, you know, and I remember going out to Greenpoint that day of that shoot. They shot that in Brooklyn, if I'm not mistaken. I think I went on that set for a few that day to get some footage. Um, anyway, it was a G unit. It wasn't even a whole Rough Riders thing. Well, then again, I don't even know because now that I'm thinking about it, I forgot that 50 and was going at the locks. Oh, DMX is on that song too. I forgot. Yeah. Damn. As soon as I thought it, somebody typed it. Um, yeah, DMX was on there too. But yeah, I don't know at the time when Busta's "Touch It" song came out if uh G Unit, I mean like Jada and 50 was still going at it. It might have been squashed by that time. I'm not sure. I gotta research that because I don't even think that Buster would put them on a song together. Knowing that it's problems with people. Well, I don't know. I don't know. But anyway, it was some type of uh, problem with Swizz and somebody from G Unit allegedly. But I still don't see where that relates to the girl Monique Mayers for 50's lawyer to be bringing that up to her when she started working at G Unit after that had happened to Israel. So it's not like she was at the label when it happened, but I don't know if she was around them prior to being hired to figure out why they asked that. But I'm gonna get back into the paperwork. But I want to remind y'all that is very crystal clear that this, like the Tupac and the Biggie, if they wanted to solve it, they could have solved it. But because most of the people there on the set of the video know exactly what happened, right? And know who was involved because, it was a thing of like everybody know everybody, right? And the dude Israel, he was loved. People was talking amongst the industry, but people wasn't going to the police because people don't want to be rats and snitches and all this other nonsense. So there's an interview with Rydiga talking about it on Vlad too. She got an interview talking about that incident. I forgot about that. Cause she was there. She's on the song. She was at the video, but she talks about it. And she describes exactly what happened. She just don't say who was on the other end of the shots, but she tells the story what happened. You know what I'm saying? But to give y'all a reminder, and rest in peace, Israel uh Ramirez. Uh if you forgot, I'm gonna give y'all a reminder of Busta's dedication to Israel. And if you listen to what Busta say, Busta's basically said he knows why Israel got killed, because the industry beefs. He say it in the video. So, like I said, it's not like these people don't know what happened. It's all about not wanting to be called a person ratting. As simple as that. But check it out.
Hey, yo, what up, Izzy? You know we had to finish this video, right? Just wanted to make sure that the world had an opportunity to see that our cause was a righteous one. You know what I mean? So much beef in the industry going on. You know, we had to show people that we all ain't beefing. A lot of artists coming together to represent a unified front. We just wanted to make sure that people seen this so they know that you ain't dying vain. Love you and I miss you, homie. Hope we made you proud.
Rest in peace. So, that was the guy. That was Israel Ramirez, who was Busta's bodyguard at the time, at that Touch It remix video, who got killed um, because Swizz Beast was running behind niggas, allegedly. So let's see. Where was I? Okay, I ain't get to that, so gotta come back. Okay, I remember that. All right, so let's see. I still have these. I'm gonna go live on Instagram in a minute. These people are bugged out. They got a picture of Mona Scott as the girl Monique Mayers. This is gonna be an interesting civil case. Okay, now let's get to it. So, um, if you wasn't tuned in yesterday, you just missed out for a little bit of this young lady right here named Monique Myers. She works for 50 for I think a little bit over 15 years. Um, in like financing, you know, a lot of bookings. Then a lot of his finance and money stuff, money talk. All right. Um, got to turn my Instagram on. My bad, y'all. 1 second. Make sure y'all get that hip hop nucleus, the tunnel documentary out right now. Apple TV, Amazon Prime, right here on YouTube, good stash movies. iTunes, Tubi, wherever you get your films, stream them. Instagram, I'm live on YouTube. The link is in my bio. Shout out to Richmond, VA in the building. I love you. All right, let's get to it. So, Jackson's attempt to reclaim Miss Myers or Miss Myers. You say tomato, I say tomato. Hold on a second. In the weeks following her termination, Ja- excuse me, Jackson sent George Bishop, a childhood friend and Jackson's head of security at the Connecticut mansion, to Miss Mayer's home. Bishop delivered what happened to be a message from Jackson. Jackson cared about Miss Mayers and wanted to meet with her. Miss Mayers refused. She made it clear to Bishop that she had no desire to meet with 50 or return to work for him. She was done. Jackson had a choice after Miss Jackson had a choice after Miss Mayers decline. Accept her decision and move on or punish her for it. He chose punishment. The Forbes silence in June of 2019. In June 2019, less than 3 months after her termination, Forbes published a profile of Miss Mayer's career and her new company. The same day, Jackson's attorney and Jackson's BS and in an act of sheer pettiness, in an act of sheer pettiness, I would say, old chap, sent a letter demanding removal, falsely alleged embellishment, and asserting the existence of a non-disclosure agreement that Jackson has never produced. Forbes removed the article. The targeted nature of the Forbes suppression was confirmed at the May 2024 deposition. As Ms. Mayers testified under oath, there was another person with the connection to Jackson who had a Billboard article published at the same time as her Forbes profile. His remained, hers did not. Jackson did not apply a uniform policy. He applied a targeted retaliation against the one employee who had refused him 3 times. The professional consequences have been severe, enduring and ongoing through the filing of this complaint. Jackson's refusal to provide references and his reputation for intimidation, trolling, and retribution in the industry has effectively blocked Ms. Mayers from obtaining employment with her nearly 12 years of senior operational experience. Upon the information and belief, on several occasions, when prospective employers in the entertainment industry have inquired about Ms. Mayers, they have been met not only with silence from Jackson's camp, but with the understanding informed by Jackson's well documented public pattern of retaliating against those he views as disloyal, that hiring her carries risk. Jackson commands significant influence in the entertainment industry. Employers who have seen what he does to people who cross him have reason to be wary. 50 has definitely built that reputation with stars, with with all types of people. All right. The harassment campaign. Getting the Forbes article pulled down was just the beginning. He did it with BMF, he did it with Little Meech, you know. I could go on for days. Miss Mayers started receiving calls at all hours that, in many instances, directly referenced Jackson. After the pattern became clear, she began documenting the calls. After 50 terminated her employment, Ms. Mayers began routinely receiving harassing text messages, voicemails, and phone calls, something that rarely ever happened prior to her termination. Ms. Mayers has documented over 80, damn, 83 incidents of harassment involving at least 25 unique phone numbers from California, Texas, Georgia, New York, and in one instance, Tanzania. Strangers called at all hours asking for Curtis 50, Curtis James Jackson the third and fifth. See, but you know, playing devil's advocate here, I'm not defending 50 in no way. And I'm not defending her in no way. I'm just saying, if there's gonna be times that if you work for a person, especially over like 15 years, and you the point person, and people been calling you for 50 for years, you know what I'm saying? And you didn't change that number and you didn't use your number, I mean, as a business. First of all, for me, if I worked for 50 for 15 years and I was his personal assistant or executive assistant, especially in finance, I'm not changing my number. I'm keeping all those contacts for one. You be stupid to get rid of those contacts because you don't work for him no more. Right. But in her case, like, well, in this case, she's saying that 50 is getting people to call her and harass her, and she's getting all these calls. Well, if you worked for the man for over a decade, almost 2 decades, and you didn't change your phone number, and people know to call you to get the 50, I'm not saying that he didn't harass her. He may not have called some of these times allegedly and all this other stuff. I'm saying is that the traffic is not going to stop like that just because you quit. It's going to be so many people that don't even know that you don't even work for 50 no more that are still reach out to you because they may have met you a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, and still seeing you around. And somebody might ask them, like, damn, I want to get to 50. Oh, I know Monique. Yeah, Monique worked for 50 and may not have even spoken to her. Like, yeah, here, call Monique and tell her I sent you. Or, you know, I don't mess with Monique no more like that. But she worked for 50. I mean, if you want to holler at the nigga, like, I'll give you a number, but just, don't say you got it from me. Like, it could be various incidents, creditors. There's a person that filed bankruptcy. You know what I'm saying? I'm not taking shots at him, right? But he can have creditors that she's the finance person. Those calls would always be coming to her, for the most part, allegedly, right? So a lot of business calls are not just going to stop because you got fired when you were an executive producer, I mean executive assistant or worker in in a position with a person that powerful. You know what I'm saying? That's like the girl Capricorn that was working for Diddy. I'm sure a year later, after not working for Diddy, Capricorn was still getting calls from people, to do some type of business with Diddy. And just because you don't work with the person, people still don't mean that people still won't hit you trying to, get you to plug them with the person. Just because you don't work there no more, don't mean you don't have a relationship anymore. You don't want to bring no business to them because you still might make money off of bringing somebody to 50. You know what I'm saying? So it's plenty of different ways to skin that cat in regards to this complaint with her saying that, all these people calling her and stuff, saying 50 name, and that he's allegedly behind it. I can't jack that. The pattern was consistent across years and geography. Strangers calling at all hours using Jackson's legal name, stage name, and various nicknames for multiple states and countries, demonstrating repeated, systematic distribution of Miss Mayer's phone number to different individuals across different locations over an extended period of time. See, that's what I'm talking about. Like, you worked for this dude for almost 2 decades. Everybody's not going to know you don't work for him no more. People are still going to call. You might have gave somebody your card like 3 years ago, and they finally want to try to get with 50, 3 years later, and oh yeah, I got the girl Monique's card, yeah, and try to call you with it. I can't. That's a reach. Excuse me. That's a reach to me. That he's giving all these people calling or calling on at the hands of 50 harassing her. I just can't. I really can't. I can't see that. You know what I'm saying? You know, I just can't see that. Ms. Mayer suspected from the beginning that Jackson was orchestrating the harassment. The evidence was substantial, but for years, Ms. Mayers was too afraid to publicly name him. She documented the incidents instead. Each of the following incidents constitute a separate, actionable intrusion upon Ms. Mayer's privacy and a separate act in the continuing campaign of harassment directed at her by defendant Jackson. On January 7th, 2020, a female called repeatedly asking to speak with 50, and on which each occasion, Ms. Mayers will respond, "You have the wrong number." After the third call, the female caller became irritated and used vulgar language directed at Ms. Mayers. The female caller then called again from an unblocked number. On February 20th, 21, approximately, see, in that situation, depending on who that is calling, right? That person could have called that number for 50 before and got 50. So now they call and you say, yo, you got the wrong number. No, it ain't the wrong number. It's I don't work for him no more. So you're gonna have to reach him at another number. Don't say you got the wrong number because technically you don't got the wrong number because this was a point number for him. And I had this number, and you know people were calling you in regards to him. So when I call you now, the fact that you don't work for him no more, don't tell me I got the wrong number without an explanation. Like say, yo, hey, how you doing? Yeah, this is Monique. I no longer work for 50 no more. So you could call the office, you could call somebody, you could send that nigga a pigeon message. I don't rock with him no more. However she wanted to say it. But just keeping it professional. Hey, this is Monique. Yeah, this 50 old number. I don't work with him no more. You're gonna have to reach him another way. You know. Uh the office number is this. You know. I'm not like I can't she's gonna have a problem in court with this. She's definitely gonna have a problem in court with this. On February 20th, 2021, approximately at 9 p.m., several days after receiving a subpoena to testify before the grand jury, and around the time because 50 gave her name to the FBI, Ms. Mayers was interviewed by the FBI on a case involving Jackson. Ms. Mayers received a call from a man who said, 50, 50, and then hung up. On June 13th, 2023 at 8:53 p.m. and then at 8:55 p.m. Ms. Mayers received calls from a man who identified himself as just Demetrius. The caller ID said Jonathan Mantra, trying to reach Curtis. Who's that, Big Meech? When she told me I had the wrong number, he insisted, asking, "Are you saying this is not Curtis James Jackson the third?" When Miss Mayes repeatedly said no, he kept insisting before ending the call. Like I said, this is probably another person that reached 50 on her phone various times, allegedly. I'm just speculating. Like, cause like a person ain't going like like if I call a family member and I know this is their number and I spoke to them on this number various times, and even if it was their assistant number or the executive assistant number, and that this is the point of reference of number to contact them. And if I know that I've reached them on this number a billion times, and you telling me now, oh, you got the wrong number. You know what I'm saying? Don't say you got the wrong number. Say, yo, I no longer work for 50 anymore. If you would like to reach him, you can reach him at the office at 212-555-5555, whatever, right? But you telling me that uh I got the wrong number. This is why these phone calls sound like this. Like, she's telling a lie. And then it's like, once again, you're not going to sit here and act like you're not affiliated with 50 Cent. It's not like my phone ring or your phone ring and the motherfucker asking for LL Cool J, and you never even met this dude. You know what I'm saying? But if you LL's niece and nephew or executive assistant and they calling your phone and you used to take calls for him or do business for him, like, don't tell me I got the wrong number. I don't work for him. Like a judge ain't going for this. If a judge, I mean, if 50's lawyer presented how I presented to a jury, like yo, she used to take all my phone calls. She used to take that was one of my places where people would call and talk to her. So yeah, people got her phone number. Yeah, I gave her phone number to people. Yeah, she gave her phone number to people for me. Like this can't hold up. Not this part. I'm not saying every phone call uh can be legitimate. Some can be harassment. I'm just saying if I'm on the jury and this is her argument, and all these people were calling 50 phone, calling her phone, pretending that they trying to get in touch with 50 as a disguised as harassment. You know, I mean harassment disguised as business calls. I don't know if I'm going for that as a juror. On September 21st, 2023 at 7:39 a.m., Victor Senna texts Miss Mayers confirming that 50 gave him Miss Mayer's number and passed it in San Diego at the park to get him tickets to his show. Jackson personally handed Miss Mayer's phone number to a stranger at a public event. Senna's text confirmed that Miss Mayers had a long suspected Jackson was distributing her number to people in his orbit, whether they understood his purpose or not. So um they show the text messages. So there's this, who is this? A 442 area code. Hit her phone. Who is this? I'm your friend 50. Are you still in San Diego? You have the wrong number. Did he give you this number? Yeah, he did. Is this the wrong number? He said he would get me in tonight to watch him. Are you able to get in touch with him? What's your name? Victor Center. Where did you meet him so I can refresh his memory? This was last night here in San Diego. It was very quickly because he was busy. No problem. Where exactly so I can remind him? At Park, San Diego. Now, let me say something, right? Now, right there, like she's gonna say in court that she entertained that to see if the information that that person was giving her was true or she was just trying to get it to document it, right? But if I'm 50's lawyer, I'm like, once you told this person that you got the wrong number. Why are you asking them where did they see 50 at and all this other stuff? Why are you entertaining the conversation if you think this is a harassment call? Right? Like, why are you going through all that conversation and through all these this text message conversation with this person if you have no affiliation with 50 no more? Right? So that same evening, September 1st, 2023, at approximately 8:59 p.m., Ms. Mayers received a call from 212 blank 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 from a man who identified himself as calling from Mayron Steakhouse in New York regarding a reservation for Jackson. Ms. Mayers informed the caller he had the wrong number. The caller called back and asked if she was sure, stating that her number was on file for a recent reservation made on Jackson's behalf. Ms. Mayers recorded the call. Mayer's Steakhouse was a fictitious restaurant, a widely publicized fake Google map listing at a residential address on the Upper East Side of Manhattan, with no kitchen, no dining room, no staff, and no ability to accept reservations. The call was not from a real business. It was a fabricated pretext to contact Ms. Mayers using Jackson's name, placed on the very same day Victor Center confirmed Jackson had been personally distributing her phone number to strangers. On September 3rd, 2023, she received a series of text messages from an individual looking to speak with Curtis. Now, once again, playing devil's advocate, could 50 be that petty that allegedly when he see people out in the street and he want to curve them to get him out of his face and they asked for his number that he was giving up uh that girl's number. Yeah, hit me up, call me and give him her number. Like being a butthole. Like is could that be possible? Could 50 be that petty? What do y'all think? Could 50 be really being that petty? You know, that's how you curve a person. Yeah, man, take my number. Man, yeah, call me, man. And give him her number. On February 13, 2024, the very day Ms. Mayers was served with a witness subpoena to appear for a deposition in the Syer Spirit civil litigation, a caller identified as Ja Rule called at 1 a.m. asking for Curtis. Ja Rule is a well-known rapper. Now, come on, we know damn well she would know uh, Ja Rule's voice, right? Ja Rule is a well-known rapper engaged in the decades-long public feud with Jackson. The use of his name on the same day the subpoena was served was not coincidental, as Ms. Mays later told Judge Crane directly, Ja Rule has never called my number in the history of anything. So these calls for me to be having 5 years after the fact are not coincidental. My in my opinion, based on what I know, so the text message, it just says, She get a text message. She said, "Who is this?" She get a call. She replies to the call with a text and says, "Who is this?" They put Ja Rule. He put, "Who are you trying to reach?" Curtis. And she put, "Who gave you this number?" And then it stops. On March 6, 2024, she received a call at 12:50 a.m. from a barely intelligible male caller repeatedly requesting to speak with Curtis. On August 13, 2024, at 11:17 a.m., Ms. Mayers received a missed call from a number that displayed the call ID Nadia Boyd, the mother of Tony Yayo's daughter. Tony Yayo is 50 Cent's longtime hype man and G Unit performer. When Ms. Mayers called the number back, a woman answered and denied having called Ms. Mayers. A denial consistent with the Jackson pattern of using intermediaries to make contact while remaining in the background. On October 29, 2024, within the span of 40 minutes, from 3:41 p.m. to 4:23 p.m., Ms. Mayers received 8 calls from 4 different phone numbers in 4 different states: Nevada, Florida, New Jersey, and California. In 40 minutes, from 8 calls in 40 minutes. The coordination required to generate 8 calls from 4 different numbers across 4 states within 42 minutes is not consistent with random misdials. It is consistent with the deliberate distribution of Ms. Mayer's phone number to multiple parties with instructions to call. Less than 2 months before the filing of this complaint, Ms. Mayers received an unsolicited text from an unknown number from someone seeking Tony Yayo, Jackson's longtime hype man and G Unit performer. Ms. Mayers has no relationship with Tony Yayo. She has no reason to retrieve messages intended for him. She has no connection to him except through 50. Whether 50 personally distributed her number to this individual or whether it reached him through the network of Jackson has long maintained and deployed against her. The result is the same. 50 World was once again forced into Miss Mayer's life, uninvited, unwanted, and without legitimate purpose. The incidents described above are representative, not exhaustive. The harassing calls also came from unknown numbers, strangers asking for Curtis or 50, and voicemails and text messages that reference Jackson at all hours of the night and morning. The calls began only after Miss Mayer's employment with the Jackson ended. That I do not believe. It escalated each time Jackson became aware of her participation in legal proceedings. Each new harassing contact is a separate, independently actionable wrong, and all form part of a single continuous course of torturous conduct. So you telling me after you start working for 50, you started getting all these phone calls for 50? I definitely don't believe that. With all the business she was handling for him, come on, bro. State testimony escalating threats. On February 18, 2021, a state grand jury subpoenaed commanded Ms. Mayers to appear and testify in a criminal case against Mitchell Green arising from the allegations made by Jackson regarding fraud at Sayer Spirits. Around the same time, FBI Special Agent Victor Hernandez and another agent visited Ms. Mayer's home in New York. The agents told her she was not in trouble and acknowledged her treatment at Jackson's hands. We know he didn't do right by you. 2 days after the subpoena, on February 20th, 2021, she received a call in which a man repeatedly said, "Fitty, Fitty," and hung up. On March 29th, 2021, Ms. Mayers provided state grand jury testimony pursuant to the subpoena. Jackson did not know yet she had testified. That would soon change. Dong, 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 dong. The May 2nd, 2024 deposition. Oh, damn. That was 6 days ago. In the days leading up to the May 2nd, 2024 deposition, Jackson's legal team learned for the first time that Ms. Mayers had given prior testimony that they had not known about, and could not account for Jackson's immediately suspected that Ms. Mayers was cooperating with the state authorities. The manner in which Jackson learned about prior testimony is telling. On April 23rd, 2024, Diane Stirk, Esquire, counsel for Michael Caruso in the Sayer Spirits litigation, spoke by telephone with Ms. Mayers' attorney Marvin Arrington, Esquire, to discuss the scope of the upcoming deposition. During that call, Stirk asked whether Ms. Myers had ever been asked to testify in a prior proceeding and whether a transcript existed from any such testimony. Stirk said that she was not previously aware that Ms. Mayers had given testimony. Arrington confirmed that Ms. Mayers had previously testified that a transcript may exist. Stirk indicated she would inquire with the opposing parties, including 50's counsel, to determine whether they possessed the copy. 1 week later, on April 30th, 2024, two days before the deposition, Rena Jane, Esquire, counsel for Jackson and his entities, called Arrington directly. Jane stated she wanted to speak with him in advance of speaking with your client and raised the issue of attorney-client privilege arising in Ms. Mayers' tenure at Gene Unit Records. During that conversation, Arrington disclosed that Ms. Mayers had given testimony in a prior proceeding and that she had been required to retain and pay for legal counsel on 2 separate occasions in connection with legal matters involving Jackson. Jane's reaction was immediate and revealing. She stated, "I was the attorney of record in the previous litigation you're referring to. I know who was deposed, and she wasn't one of them." The inescapable conclusion was that Ms. Mayers had given testimony in a separate proceeding, one that Jackson's legal team had no knowledge of and no visibility into. Upon the information and belief, Jackson counsel immediately relayed this discovery to Jackson. Jackson knew Ms. Mayers had given sworn testimony his lawyers could not identify or account for. He reacted within 24 hours. Oh. So she testified against 50, and they can't find out what she testified about nor can they find the transcript of the test, whatever she testified to. So I guess that's allegedly what became a problem between her and 50 for her to feel like it's him behind harassing her, allegedly. One day before Miss Mayers was scheduled to be deposed as a witness in the Sire Spirits LLC versus Beam Suntree Inc., she received a text message at approximately 3:24 p.m. You will suffer. Fifth. And she text back, whoever this is, stop texting this number. And they reply back, F that. And she replied back, keep texting it. Who do you think you're texting? And that came from a Miami number. The timing, less than 24 hours after Jackson's counsel discovered Miss Mayers had given an unaccounted for testimony and the night before her deposition, was coincidental. The message used Jackson's own well-known nickname. Its meaning was explicit. Jackson's own public statements tracked the same language. In a widely reported Instagram post, Jackson stated, I am the algorithm. Anyone who chooses to go against the grain will suffer. Damn, I remember when he posted that. I wonder what he was talking about. That's interesting. Not saying that he was talking about her. I thought this around the time he was going at it with T.I. So she shows that post. I remember this post, but it's not a picture of her. Before a single question was asked on May 2nd, 2024, Ms. Mayer's attorney Marvin Arrington placed on the record that Ms. Mayers had received 2 threatening text messages yesterday, the day before this deposition, and stated, that leads me to believe that it's one of your clients that are sending her the threatening text messages. Arrington identified the source as one of the parties in the deposition, specifically your client, the owner of the companies that you represent, meaning 50 Cent. Arrington further stated that Ms. Mayers had already been in contact with the police and will be going there today at the conclusion of their deposition in order to physically file a report. That on the record statement made in the presence of all the counsel before the testimony even began constitutes independent cooperation of the deposition threat. Ms. Mayers was then deposed. Jackson and his attorney, O'Kelly, appeared via Zoom for the deposition. Also present on the Zoom were Jackson's attorney, Stephen and Tim. Jackson's presence at a third-party witness deposition was notable. He sat silently, watching as his counsel questioned Ms. Mayers. The questions began with routine topics related to the underlying litigation, then referencing the April 30th, 2024 call among counsel O'Kelly stated that he understood Ms. Mayers had previously given testimony in another proceeding and launched the inquiry demanding to know whether Ms. Mayers had spoken with the FBI and the U.S. Attorney's Office, matters entirely outside of the scope of the deposition and irrelevant to the case. After Ms. Myers answered yes, O'Kelly pressed relentlessly, forcing her to provide specific details about the FBI interview. When it occurred, how long it lasted, which office conducted it, and whether agents asked about Jackson or his attorney, Savin. Ms. Myers answered no as to Jackson, and I don't recall as to Savin. That did not stop him. O'Kelly continued driving the questions well beyond any legitimate boundary and using the deposition as a vehicle to pressure a state witness. Then also immediately after exhausting the FBI inquiry, O'Kelly escalated. He pivoted to an entirely unrelated and inflammatory subject, the unsolved 2006 murder of Israel Ramirez at Busta Rhymes video shoot in Brooklyn, an incident involving G Unit affiliates, including Jackson. O'Kelly posed the question directly. Do you know who shot and killed Israel Ramirez in Brooklyn at Busta Rhymes video shoot? This question was improper, irrelevant, inflammatory, and serving no legitimate evidentiary purpose. Attorney Michael Caruso Sturck objected immediately. That is so far outside of the case. It just seems like at this point you're harassing the witness. The murder question had no place in the deposition. It bore no connection to the Syed Spirits litigation, no relevance to any legitimate line of inquiry, and no relation to any fact Ms. Mayers could provide. She was not even working for Jackson in 2006. She had no knowledge of the incident, no involvement in it, and no information relevant to any claim or defense. As Ms. Mayers testified directly, I was at the business management firm in 2006. So you're asking the wrong person. The Ramirez murder was not a forgotten historical footnote. Former NYPD Detective Derek Parker, known as the hip hop cop, has confirmed publicly that the case remains stalemated for decades because high profile rappers were involved in a dispute where a person got shot, and that those individuals have to be brought into court, and that prosecution will require the state government. Rapper Rod Digger, who also was present at the shoot, stated in a 2019 interview that the murder occurred shortly after G Unit arrived on the scene. Didn't I tell y'all about that Rod Digger interview at the top of the show? Right? Jackson, through his attorney, O'Kelly, was not invoking a random cold case. He was invoking an open, unresolved case in which his own presence at the moment of the killing was never been fully examined. His presence at the moment was never of the killing was never fully examined. And where everyone with knowledge has for nearly 2 decades remained silent. The message to Ms. Mayers was plain. I know you cooperated with the state authorities, and I'm going to remind you of an unsolved murder where G Unit was present. So you should understand what happens to people who talk. Ms. Mayers breaks her silence in June 2024. The question about the still unsolved murder of Israel Ramirez broke Ms. Mayers' silence regarding the years of harassment. They can really come down on G Unit. They got something coming down the pipeline for them niggas. And this murder is got something to do with it. For years, Ms. Mayers has suspected Jackson was behind the harassment phone calls, voicemails, and text message, but had been too afraid to publicly name him. The questioning was so plainly designed to intimidate rather than elicit evidence, and so far outside the bounds of legitimate legal inquiry that Ms. Mayers realized the silence was no longer protecting her. On June 10th, 2024, 1 month after the deposition, Ms. Mayers contacted FBI Special Agent Victor Hernandez. She told Agent Hernandez, I am growing increasingly scared for my safety as well as my family, considering Jackson now knows I have spoken with the FBI and U.S. Attorney's Office. For the first time, Ms. Mayers went on the record and explicitly identified Curtis Jackson III as the person she believed was behind the years of harassing phone calls, text messages, and the distribution of her phone number to strangers. Let me tell you something, bro. I don't know what she went to the FBI for. I mean, I'm sure she went out of fear, but she was around them dudes for a long time. I can only imagine all the stories that she got to hear, especially with a nigga like Yayo loving to brag and talk. You know what I'm saying? Like he be doing on Vlad, right? It ain't no telling, yo, what this woman knows. And trust me, they probably asking her about that murder to see if she told the feds about that murder. But this would tell me that whether 50 and don't want to believe it or not, they probably being investigated. They would have to be if she's going to them complaining. Ms. Myers also filed a police report at the sheriff's office where an officer, so damn, she filed the federal and the state and the county uh, cases with this dude. Where an officer took her complaint and documented in a police report that Ms. Mayers reported receiving a text, you will suffer, 5th, from a 305 number on May 1st, 2024, the day before her deposition, and that she had been receiving phone calls and texts since 2019. Officer Robinson further documented that Ms. Mayers reported receiving a text in which that person said 50 is giving out her number for people to call and text. Coming forward did not stop the harassment. It intensified it. August 3rd, 2024, approximately 2 months after contacting the FBI and naming Jackson as responsible, on August 3rd, 2024, at 4:29 a.m., an unknown caller placed 15 consecutive calls to Ms. Mayers. The calls continued through the AM, 3 hours of calls in the pre-dawn darkness. 2 voicemails were left. The callers sang lyrics, bang, bang, I shot you down. Ms. Mayers immediately went to the sheriff's office and filed another police report. The officer who took the report personally verified the call amounts, times, and voicemail content on Ms. Mayer's phone. The officer observed and documented that Ms. Mayers was visibly and accurately distressed during the filing of the report. That observation was accurate and consistent with what Ms. Mayers had just experienced. 15 calls beginning at 4:29 in the morning, two voicemails singing "Bang Bang, I Shot You Down," the latest escalation in the years-long campaign of harassment that compelled her to contact the FBI twice and made her afraid to disclose where she worked. The, the distress the officer observed was the visible result of a deliberate and sustained campaign of intimidation. Days after receiving the death threat voicemails, Ms. Mayers sought mental health treatment for the first time in her life. On or about August 5th, 2024, she began therapy with a licensed professional counselor in Georgia, presenting with overwhelming anxiety and what she described as the daily burden of deflecting, harassing phone calls. She had no prior mental health history. The harm was new because Jackson created it. Ms. Mayers reports to Judge Crane. Although still frightened, Ms. Mayers was determined to create a formal record. On September 16, 2024, at a court conference in the Sayer Spirit Civil Action, she reported the harassment campaign to the preceding judge, Melissa Crane, or presiding judge, Melissa Crane, and identified Jackson's name as the person responsible. Ms. Mayers told the judge about the murder questioning at her deposition. I didn't even work for Mr. Jackson when the murder that the lawyer asked me about occurred. That's one. That's one. Two, I was kind of confused at why this lawyer would be asking me about a murder because who asked him to ask me that? That's what I wanted to know. Who asked him to ask me that? And why would Mr. Jackson be inquiring about that? Ms. Myers continued, I'm extremely uncomfortable with all of these crazy phone calls that I'm getting. It's extremely uncomfortable. When Judge Crane asked about her safety concerns, Ms. Myers stated, I want to make sure that I'm safe at this point because I don't feel safe at all. Ms. Myers testified, I feel like these messages are coming by way of someone on Mr. Jackson's side because his name keeps popping up in all these messages. Most of the messages, they are at the wee hours of the morning, she stated. I never had prank phone calls, harassing in the history of me, not even while I would work there. Ms. Mayers spoke candidly about what she had endured. I want whoever is doing this to stop. I want there to be a conversation so that there is some kind of understanding and leave me alone. Leave me alone, she stated. The only thing I'm guilty of is working someplace. That's it. I was fired. I left. I didn't apply for anything. I didn't get any severance. My Forbes article was taken down, and I was still taken out of the way, and I still am having problems to this day. In response, Judge Crane stated on the record, I mean, this has never happened in any case I've ever had. Judge Crane condemned the deposition conduct outright I don't like the line of questioning that Ms. Mayers was subjected to at her deposition. And I really don't, I wouldn't consider it on summary judgment. And I may strike it because it's totally irrelevant. She also treated the threat to Ms. Mayer's safety as immediate and serious. In terms of your safety, I'm going to pass all this along to our court officers. I've elevated this. I am sure who they I am not sure who they should call in addition to the US attorney. The assistant US attorney on the New Jersey criminal case, Blake, was identified on the record by counsel present at the conference. Multiple parties from the civil litigation confirmed they will forward the relevant materials directly to him. The next day, on September 17th, 2024, the FBI called Ms. Mayers. They asked what was happening and whether she knew why Jackson would want to harass her. The institutional response: a state judge, law enforcement, and the U.S. Attorney's Office all engaged simultaneously, corroborates the severity and the credibility of the conduct being reported. 2 days later, Ms. Mayers told the therapist what the experience had been like. I was prepared, I was uncomfortable and nervous at times. When they lied, I got angry. I was crying at times. I was emotional. A therapist noted she remained articulate, reasoned, and calm. She was not exaggerating. She was a woman who had been subjected to years of, of sustained intimidation and was still standing. Unfortunately, even after Ms. Mayers escalated her concerns to a state judge, the harassment would not stop. In December 2024, Ms. Myers again contacted Judge Crane and stated plainly that she needed an order of protection because she did not feel safe. By that point, she had reported Jackson to the FBI, filed police reports, informed the state judge, and sought protection through every available channel. Nothing changed. She was repeatedly directed back to the authorities. The harassment continued without interruption. For example, on March 6, 2025, Ms. Mayers received a text message from Ty Walker, an associate of Jackson. The calls persisted from new numbers. Callers continued to ask for Curtis. She's going to have a really hard time proving that these calls are all from 50 or 50 related. I just, she's just going to have a really hard time, man. On August 3rd, 2025, exactly 1 year after the bang bang I shot you down, Miss Myers received 15 calls from a phone number from a 979 area code. 979, where's that at? 979. The same date, uh, August 3rd, same number of calls, 15, the same pre-dawn hours between midnight and dawn, 1 year apart. The precision was not coincidental. It was a deliberate replication of the prior year's conduct on the exact same day at the exact same count with the exact same hours. The anniversary required planning and attention to detail. Someone had to remember the date of the first barrage, ensure exactly 15 calls were placed, and replicate the pre-dawn timing. The message was plain. I remember. I'm watching. I will not stop. That conduct was the defendant's. The anniversary is consistent with the documented pattern of deliberate, premeditated retaliation that has defined Jackson's conduct toward Ms. Mayers throughout his campaign. I don't I don't know about this case, man. I really don't know about this case. Like it's it's a harassment case where she's never hears from 50 personally. She ain't getting no calls from 50. All calls are 50 related, people asking for 50. And she was an executive working for 50. I think if I got to put my money down on this one, I say 50 is going to beat this case. However, even though, let's just say allegedly, if 50 is even guilty of this, let's just say 50% of it. Let's just say he is harassing the girl, right? It's going to be so hard for her to prove this, that he's behind it. I mean, it's going to be extremely hard. Like that's going to take FBI to do investigations because they will have to go through phone records and tie people together, and they're not going to do that type of work in this situation. For her, she would have to hire private investigators and stuff for that type of support to prove this case. However, her going to the FBI, um, and I've worked for 50 for all those years and not went to them not once but twice to complain about him. If they had a hard on for 50, there's plenty of stuff they could have asked her about him. And if they investigated him, if they wasn't before, they are now, just to see if he's harassing her. But the Israel Ramirez situation is still a big cloud in my head as to why 50's lawyer will bring up asking her anything about that. I just don't, unless like she said allegedly that's a scare tactic or a subliminal threat, which I doubt the nigga would be that stupid to do that in the deposition to have that on record. I just still don't understand 50's lawyer asking her about the Israel thing. unless she got something to do with it. I don't know. But what I do know is this case, you know, being unbiased, I don't see her winning anything as far as harassment goes. If she gets something for back pay, I can see that happening, depending on why, they say they fired her or whatever, and she could prove that she was supposed to get a severance package. If she could prove that, then maybe she might get that. But anything for as far as like intentional infliction of emotional distress, it's the the phone calls. I just cannot. Um, I don't see where they going to be able to put that on him beyond a reasonable doubt. As far as the invasion of privacy by intrusion upon seclusion, that's another one, man. Um, Depending on what she signed when she went to work for him, that's that's like a human resources conversation. And relief for both of those claims, I don't know. She might, like I said, she might get something, but to prove that 50 is behind harassing her, like they could show harassment from 50. Like we know where harassment from 50 is like. He ain't got a problem saying your name. He ain't got a problem trolling you. He ain't got a problem posting your picture. You know what I'm saying? He ain't got a problem speaking out publicly against you. Um, Depending on her, how much she knows will determine how much 50 would probably speak about her publicly. But his character and what he's known for, his history, for her to say that he's harassing her, um, she's gonna really have to prove that because he's known to harass people publicly, and what would make her different? That he wouldn't even address her publicly. And I think that that's where 50's defense uh should focus, that if 50 is this known bully for harassing people and intimidating people, why is why is she any different from any of the other people that he had a problem with publicly? That she doesn't get mentioned publicly, he doesn't tear her down publicly. Why is everything in stealth when it comes to her? That's my defense if I'm on 50's team. You're accusing my client of harassing you for years and phone calls, texts, this, that, and the other. You know, why don't you think that my client would have did that to you publicly? You know, like if he was going to destroy you, one post of him putting your picture up, telling people to never work with you would be enough. Why would he be harassing you in the dark? Like, what do you know that would stop him from preventing you from uh from him doing this publicly like he does with everybody else? That would be my defense in this if I'm 50's lawyer. You know what I'm saying? On 50's defense team. Why wouldn't he attack you like everybody else? What do you know that will stop him from publicly destroying you? But we'll see. But my prediction is that 50 becomes the victor in this case. I believe that he wins this fight, but I think the girl going to win the war if the FBI was investigating him, especially with murders involved, and they start looking into that. He'll win the fight, she'll win the war if she get him federally indicted for whatever reason. But and if and he lose. But we'll see. But fellas, my man Mr. Rhythm's good advice. Don't let your penis run your life. Good advice. Only cost you a quarter. You know what I mean? That coochie. I'm waiting to see if her and 50 ever been intimate. That's going to be determine a whole lot. Let's see if they had a relationship too. And this is about emotional money grab. Right? Choke no joke. Please hit that subscribe before you go. Follow me on Instagram. Follow me on YouTube. Hit that subscribe. The link is in my bio. In my story. You know what it is. I catch y'all tomorrow. Choke no joke. You already know. Fellas, watch that cooch.
Choke no joke. You already know. Y'all know I love that cooch. You know what this is. I love that cooch. Yeah. It's the A thing. Clean cooch. Let's go. Yo, what's up? My nuts when I wake up. Got more than wood and I just bust one. In mahogany, I'm Ron Isley. Between the sheets, and she want to ski. And just shout with me with what I thought was pee. She rolled the D, her water broke B. Not pregnant, but baptized me. I'm down for more love, but change the sheet. She said, please, I want more. Next thing I know, mattress dripping the floor from her juices. Oral had me stoned, had a Corinne and Medusa in one. And when I look in her eyes, between her thighs, I tell you no lie, ain't shit won't buy. I rob and take it, for me to taste it. Red Lobster, pussy, biscuit, freshly baked. Eat that coochie all night. She sprayed my face like Shook Sprite. I love her. I eat her coochie all night. She sprayed my face like Shook Sprite. I love her. Suck my nuts when I wake up. Got more than wood and I just bust one. In mahogany, I'm Ron Isley. Between the sheets, and she want to ski. And just shout with me with what I thought was pee. She rolled the D, her water broke B. Not pregnant, but baptized me. I'm down for more love, but change the sheet. She said, please, I want more. Next I know, mattress dripping the floor from her juices. Oral had me stoned,
Etta Corinne and Medusa in one. And when I look in her eyes, between her thighs, I tell you no lie, ain't shit won't buy. I'll rather take it for me to taste it. Red Lobster, pussy, biscuit, freshly baked. Eat that coochie all night. She sprayed my face like Shook Sprite. I love her. I eat her coochie all night. She sprayed my face like Shook Sprite. I love her.
Joke, no joke. Yeah. It's joke, no joke. Joke, no joke. Jigga, joke, no joke. Joke, no joke.